Presented by the all-new Honda Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
Welcome to Rogers Center. It is the Lady Jays food drive weekend, and the Jays players' wives are out collecting non-perishable food items, and they are selling those surprise grab bags. Each of those bags has some nice autographed memorabilia inside, so come on down, make a contribution to a great cause the Jays can. Marcus Stroman is set to take the mound, and he has left his start last time with a blister issue after 5 innings, and he's all set today. This field level action cam is brought to you by the Samsung Galaxy S8. Unbox your phone. Stroman, I spoke to him yesterday. Patty said the finger is not an issue. It will be something we'll keep an eye on for sure. So Stroman all fired up, and I tell you what, he's got his hands full. This is one of the best hitting teams in all of baseball. The Astros have hit .355 over their last 9 games. 59-28, first in the West by a wide margin. Leadoff man George Springer. First-time All-Star going to the All-Star game. He's riding a 5-game hit streak. And look at the numbers during those 5 games. 14 for 24, 4 doubles, 3 home runs, and 8 RBIs. He's become quite a table setter. Top of the order. Evan Gattis homered and doubled in last night's game, so for that he gets a chance to DH this afternoon. He too has a long hit streak, batting .351. The batting average, top of the order, first 5 all hitting nearly .300.
And producing a lot of runs for this Astros team. Marcus Stroman, his 18th start of the season. He's been the most consistent starter for the Blue Jays this season. He's gone 7+ innings 6 times this year. He's allowed 3 or fewer runs in 13 of those 17 starts. Last time out, Buck, you mentioned it, he lasted just 5 innings because of the blister problem. He was removed from that game after throwing 79 pitches, and he's had success in his young career against the Houston Astros. He's allowed 2 earned runs in 13 1/3 innings in 2 starts versus the Astros last year, and one of those games was a career high game for him in strikeouts with 13.
Defensively, the Blue Jays set up this way with Carrera and Bautista flanking Kevin Pillar. Tulowitzki is at short. Martin behind the plate today. And Darwin Barney will start at second.
22nd game at second base, 18th start at second base. He's handled 84 chances. He had 1 error. That's a .988 fielding percentage, the highest on the team for a second baseman. So he will get the start this afternoon. You know, Marcus Stroman throws a lot of ground balls.
Barney won a Gold Glove playing second base for the Cubs. Stroman is set. Springer is in the box. Springer was 4 for 4 with a couple of homers last night. Russell Martin setting up off the plate outside. It is a ball, and we are underway. 307 for Springer, 20 doubles, 27 home runs, and 60 ribbies. As we mentioned, he's going to the All-Star game for the first time in his career, and there's a strike. Pat, the issue with the finger was caused by that sinking fastball. We'll see if he's made any adjustments with that fastball, whether or not he uses that sinker.
You know, that's why we talked about that in the open, that the sinker was the pitch that was giving him problems with the seam, where he was creating that hot spot on that finger. And the Blue Jays did the right thing before it became a blister. They got him out of the ball game. He did his treatment this whole week. We'll watch and see if he's able to get that thing down.
Stroman with a little adjustment on his delivery. That slider down and away. It's 2-2.
That's still the great pitch for Stroman. That hard slider with all these right-handed batters in the lineup this afternoon. 2 will be a very important pitch for him.
Good changeup with late movement as Springer fouls it off. This is some hot team. They have scored 6.98 runs per game on the road. They play in a very hitter-friendly ballpark, but boy, on the road they have been a juggernaut. 293 runs scored in 42 games away from Minute Maid Park. Another 2-2 pitch. It's back out of play.
Well, they're doing it all. First of all, they got great pitching, they get a great bullpen, and they score a ton of runs. Over the last 25 road games, 21-4. They're averaging those 8 runs and 55 home runs. So a little more than 2 home runs per game. on the road.
Martin wants it upstairs. It's much too high. It's a full count.
And I had a chance to ask A.J. Hinch today. I said, A.J., in spring training, did you expect this from this team? Is this what you were looking for 2017? He goes, probably not. He said, we're a good team. We knew we were a good team. We have some good players, and we added some veterans. But not what they're doing right now. What they're doing right now is historic.
So Springer works Stroman for a leadoff walk. And this is a very balanced lineup with righties, lefties, switch hitter. Marwin Gonzalez in the lineup, and A.J. Hinch has a very talented lineup that keeps coming at you. And this lineup today does not have Jose Altuve in it.
Or Carlos Beltran. They're able to rest 2 more regulars today.
Altuve playing for the first time since June, or not playing since June 22nd. That's the last time he's had an off day. Beltran, 40-year-old DH, he gets the day off. Day game after a night game. He'll be back in there tomorrow, I'm sure.
He says he wasn't going to put him on the field here in this series against the Blue Jays. That ball just off the plate. Marcus had problems in the first inning of his last start, the one we were talking about in New York, threw 27 pitches in the first inning against the Yankees.
That was last Monday in New York.
Had 2 walks and hit a batter.
He gave up a couple of ground ball singles after 1 out, and then walked Didi Gregorius, hit Chase Headley, and then walked Ellsbury with the bases loaded. Well, he looked at that finger momentarily.
Yeah, keep an eye on that.
One and two. Springer a short lead at first. Marcus told me he has never, ever dealt with a blister issue until his last start. But it looks like he is aware of it right now here in the first inning. It's the middle finger of that right hand. It's down the left side, slices foul. Nice play by the ball boy down there.
It doesn't hurt him when he throws a slider. And it doesn't hurt him, from what we understand, when he throws a changeup. It's that 2-seamer. That's his bread and butter pitch. The sinker.
You see, he grips that baseball in his changeup grip. As that minimizes the movement necessary to adjust to his other pitches. That's pulled and a broken bat for Rennick. Well, Marcus said, you know, I've pitched in Atlanta in a humid, hot situation. I've pitched in Houston in a very humid situation, and I've never dealt with a blister. But he continues to look at that middle finger, and that's not a good thing. It never really ruptured. It was just a hot spot, which is the precursor, of course, to a blister. There goes the runner. Bounced toward first, but foul. Springer was off on the pitch. The Astros have run a bit in this series. They had a stolen base in the first inning. In last night's game, Marwin Gonzalez stole second with 2 outs. What we have seen so far is they will run a little more aggressively once there are 2 outs in an inning.
Once there's 2 outs, to try to get into scoring position where they can, a base hit will score the run. It's a very well-rounded team with some power and some speed and some decent hitters.
Not running this time, and it's outside. 3-2. Carlos Correa, he is on deck in a first inning home run last night. 3-2. There goes Springer, cut on and missed the throw from Martin in plenty of time. A strikeout throw.
The double play was huge for Stroman in New York. He ended the first and the fourth inning on double plays. This looks like another one Tulowitzki with the tag. Just clipped his backside before he got to that bag. They were counting on Reddick to make contact, so Springer didn't get a great jump over at first base. They were treating that like a hit and run. But when Marcus struck out Reddick, Russell was able to throw out his 8th base runner of the season.
2 away, Carlos Correa. Fine young shortstop. Good throw by Martin. And Stroman now working with 2 outs and nobody on. Correa's home run last night is 18th of the season. He's just 22 years old.
15-game hit streak now. As Stroman quick pitches him.
Longest hit streak in the majors, and you can see Correa is set, never moved his foothold in the batter's box. Stroman mixes up his release times very effectively, and Correa is not budging out of that batter's box.
That's called being aware, isn't it, of what they're going to have to offer. Marcus quick pitched him on the first pitch. He never lost his toe hold.
Good finish there. He buries that fastball. 3-1. Second walk of the inning issued by Stroman. A 2-out walk to Correa. Now, Evan Gattis caught last night in an RBI double in the second, a solo home run in the 7th. And Pat, you had a chance to talk with A.J. Hinch about Gattis's appearance today.
Yeah, the original plan was to give him the day off and DH Springer, get him off the legs, but he likes to reward his players when they have good games. And you mentioned the double and the long home run for Gattis. A.J. Hinch also said that he can get as hot as anybody. One of those hitters that, quote, can hit 8 home runs in a week. Says he hasn't seen it yet, but maybe he's on to something.
Currently riding a 9-game hit streak. He has 3 home runs in his last 9 games. But he is a streaky hitter.
Yes, yes, with a lot of power. Tulo and now Martin are going to go out and talk to Marcus.
Yeah, and Tulowitzki, he is always the voice of reason. He and Martin both out talking to Stroman, and you know what, physically, if that blister is bothering you, you just can't pitch. I saw the hot spot. He showed it to me yesterday, and it's a big area, basically, in that first knuckle on the flat part of his finger. It's not on the side, it's not near the nail, it's right on the flat part of his middle finger, where that seam is the last thing that his hand touches on that baseball. 2-0 to Gattis.
Gattis has played 9 games in this ballpark. He's hit 3 home runs. He likes hitting here. I also asked the Blue Jays this morning, I said, was there any thought of maybe skipping Marcus's turn here and giving him some extra time since he pitched Monday and the All-Star break coming up? And they said, nope, not at all. Said the finger's fine. We need some wins.
2 hopper to Donaldson, takes his time, and Stroman is out of the inning. A couple of walks, no damage. A strike him out, throw him out, double play helped out Stroman get through the top of the first. On 6 hits last night as Houston won the game 12-2. Josh Donaldson had a base hit in his first at bat. Finished up 1 for 3 on the night. Let's take a look at the rest of the Blue Jays lineup as they try to turn things around this afternoon. Jose Bautista, top of the order. Down in the 6th spot in the order, Troy Tulowitzki has a 4-game hit streak. He homered. 1 of 2 home runs the Blue Jays hit last night. He's 7 for his last 16. And Kevin Pillar, he's got a mini 5-game hit streak. 6 hits in 14 at-bats. That's a 400 batting average with a couple of doubles, a home run, and 2 RBIs. And they are going to go up against Mike Fiers.
Making his 17th start of the season and the 9th on the road. The 31-year-old is in his 3rd season with the Astros. He joined them from Milwaukee prior to the 2015 trade deadline. The Astros are 10-6 in his last 16 starts, but they've won 6 of his last 8 starts. That earned run average you see right there at 380, that's good for 14th best in the American League. Facing the Blue Jays for the 4th time in his career. Faced him a couple of times last year through 10 2/3 innings against the Jays and gave up 7 runs.
Off-speed pitches inside. Jose Bautista's done a nice job hitting in the leadoff spot.
I think the Blue Jays have to be patient with Mike Fiers, just going on what he did in his last start. He threw 4 innings against the Yankees. You know how many pitches it took him to get through 4 innings? 105. Part of that was the 4 walks. He also had 7 strikeouts.
One and 2 now to Bautista. Blue Jays trying to gauge what they're dealing with this afternoon in Mike Fiers. Slow breaking ball in the dirt, not close. Fiers, for his career, 1 and 2 against the Blue Jays. He's made 3 starts in the past. Had a great month of June. There's a fastball and Bautista strikes up. 1 away. Let's take a look at the defense for the Astros. Aoki is in left field again this afternoon. Springer's in center and Reddick is in right. Great combination. Marwin Gonzalez filling in for Altuve at second and Brian McCann back behind the plate.
We've been talking about George Springer's offense, but his defense isn't too bad either. He has split the season between right field and left field. He's had 1 error all season long. We'll play center field this afternoon.
Up and in to Russell Martin. That'll get your attention. First pitch of the afternoon.
Looked like Russell was just going to take a pitch to see what Mike Fiers has to offer, and that ball got away from him.
Martin did not play last night. He had a big game on Thursday night. 3 for 5 with a home run. 2-0. Martin homered in back-to-back games Wednesday afternoon in New York and then Thursday night here against the Astros.
He's on a nice little streak, hitting the ball hard the other way.
Martin's average at 228 to start this game. His home run on Thursday is 9th of the season. And the changeup, everything has been soft. The fastball Bautista struck out on was 89 miles an hour.
Yeah, Fiers is not a fireballer, if you will. He'll hit 92, tops out there as fastball, but it's everything else. It's the splitter and it's the curveball. Came up with a cut fastball in 2011 when he was in the Brewers minor league system.
Well, you got to be patient against Fiers, and you can see how it would take him 100 pitches to get through 4 innings.
Well, he's got so much that he can use at any time.
Full count to Martin. He takes ball 4 low.
Well, when you talk about Mike Fiers, get ready. He'll throw the kitchen sink at you. A little bit of everything from the right-hander. fastball. He throws it 41% of the time. He's also he has a curveball, a splitter. He can cut his fastball. That's 14% of the time, and a slider. And again, he's not going to light up the radar gun. He's going to throw them all at any time. So I think you have to be very patient with him. Make sure he gets that ball over. His best pitch in terms of batting average against is his curveball. He's hitting under 200 against his curveball this season.
Here is Josh Donaldson. Donaldson is 1 for 5 going up against Mike Fiers. I mentioned Fiers pitching for the 5th time against the Blue Jays. His 4th start. You would think this would be the type of pitcher that would cause problems for Donaldson because there's so many different speeds and he has that exaggerated leg kick.
Well, if he's got his timing down and it's starting to come around for Josh, says he's got to let the ball travel just a little bit more. He felt like he was getting out there a little bit too anxious, a little bit too quick, and he was rolling over some balls and hitting balls to the third baseman. He says, I never do that. He said, I've got to let the ball travel just a little bit more and then barrel it up, and that's left center to right center field. When he does that, that's when he starts going.
Donaldson with the count in his favor, 2-1. He let that ball travel a little bit, then got jammed. But I think that's the approach you have to take against Mike Fiers because everything is soft.
Yes, sit on the breaking ball. You can still turn on the fastball. That one was just 88 miles an hour. So you can look for all the off-speed stuff. Think about hitting it back through the middle. You're going to pull it naturally because there's not a lot of speed to the pitch.
Upstairs, a full count. Martin's at first with 1 out. Smoke waiting on deck.
Here's the patience shown for the Blue Jays. Already 1 walk, another 3-2 count. He only gave up 2 hits against the Yankees, Fiers, but he had a lot of base runners.
2 hits, 7 strikeouts over 4 innings his last time out. There goes Martin inside. Back-to-back 1-out walks issued by Fiers. That sets the table for Justin Smoke.
Well, he is getting into rare territory, if you will. If he finishes up strong today and tomorrow, he has a chance to become the 4th player, the 4th switch hitter, to have a .300 batting average and 20 home runs at the All-Star break. Mickey Mantle did it 4 times. Carl Everett did it in 2000. Victor Martinez, who just picked up his 2000th career hit this week, did it in 2014. Smokey, that average has dropped below 300 over the last couple of days. It sits at 295 right now.
What a stretch for Mickey Mantle. 3 straight seasons going the All-Star break with 300. Smoke takes the first pitch, strike. Of course, Mantle was the MVP in the American League in 55 and 56.
Triple crown in 56.
Martin at second, Donaldson at first. They both walked. Breaking ball into there. I tell you what, Pat, we talked about this last night. Houston plays as shallow as any outfield we have seen. You look at Springer in center field, and he is really in tight.
Taking away the ball in front of him. He got burned a couple of times in this series. Ryan Goins hit a ball to center field. That was a double. Got over the head of the center fielder. I thought the center fielder was shallow on that one. Left field too, with Smoke at the plate. Very shallow for him.
It's fouled into the seats. Smoke's got good power to the power alley in left, hitting as a left-handed hitter. We've seen him hit home runs. In fact, he had a couple of home runs in Oakland to the opposite field.
They're playing him like a right-handed pull hitter in the outfield. Aoki is in left field. It's like he's guarding the line. George Springer is shading him to left center. Huge gap in right center field.
1-2. Breaking ball bounced in the dirt. Brian McCann's getting a workout early in this game.
Well, right now, here in the first inning, you can eliminate the curveball and you can eliminate the splitter. He hasn't been able to throw those for a strike just yet.
Two and two. Bautista struck out to start the inning, and Martin and Donaldson both walked. Covers that outside pitch and stays alive at 2-2. Marcus Stroman back on the bench, and hopefully he is okay and will continue in this game. Got out of the situation getting Gaddis to ground out to third after he issued a couple of walks in that first inning.
Both starters having a little trouble finding the strike zone here in the first inning. 4 walks already.
Little pop-up. Bregman into foul territory, makes the catch. Smoke is retired, 2 away. That off-speed pitch had Smoke out in front. So now there are 2 outs. Kendrys Morales. He's had some success against Fires, 4 for 9. Well, Blue Jays really could use a big hit right here in the first inning if Marcus Stroman a little room to work.
Yeah, if the pitcher's going to get himself in trouble by walking guys, you got to take advantage of it. Kendrys is probably going to get his share of slow curveballs this at bat with runners on base.
Slow grounder hit to first as Gurriel will step on the bag and fires pitches around a couple of walks. The Blue Jays leave 2. They're scoreless after 1 on a beautiful Saturday afternoon.
Earlier today, I caught up with head trainer George Poulos, who told me any fiercely competitive pitcher will always try to pitch through some discomfort. But pulling Marcus Stroman in his previous start in New York after 5 innings before that raw patch of skin on his right middle finger fully developed into what he called a friction blister was absolutely the right thing to do. Now, over the last few days, they've soaked Stroman's right middle finger in some medical solution and then used various techniques to try and dry it out. Pula said they've been very pleased with the results so far, and combined with his throwing sessions earlier this week, told me he has no concerns with that finger today. Manager John Gibbons echoing those sentiments. While they will watch Stroman very carefully, Buck, he told me Stroman has zero limitations today.
Well, we'll see how that holds up, because obviously that friction hot spot, pitching against those hard seams of that baseball, that's where the friction develops and creates a hot spot, and that could lead to a blister. Stroman walked a couple in the first inning, but had a strike him out, throw him out double play. He struck out Reddick, and Martin threw out Springer trying to steal. This is Marwin Gonzalez, and what a valuable player he has been. He has started in left, first, and today second base in this series.
And keeps on hitting. Look at those numbers. 15 and 51. I don't even want to call him a part-time player or a bench player, because he plays, well, he doesn't even play every day. He's got 214 at-bats this year. But he can play anywhere, and A.J. Hinch says, I'll play him wherever I can because he never hurts me. He's driven in 14 runs in his last 13 games.
Ground ball. Barney waits for it at second. One away.
Get fired up for summer with the new Broil King Barbecue from Home Hardware. Here's how.
A beautiful day for a barbecue. 22 degrees here at Rogers Center. The roof is wide open, and it is a very low humidity day and a breeze blowing. It's a gorgeous afternoon. Perfect day to play baseball. Perfect day to watch baseball. Defensive coaches are lining up the defense for Brian McCann, the catcher. McCann's got 20 at-bats against Marcus Stroman. Of course, he spent the last couple of years in New York. He is 4 for 20. Sharply hit, and that's past Barney into right field. Single for Brian McCann. That's the first hit for the Astros.
I was going to say they usually play him in the pull situation, but had one infielder over there and he got it by him. The opponent's average with runners on base for Marcus Stroman so much better at home than he has been on the road. A couple of walks in the first inning, strike him out, throw him out, help that one. And he's got another base runner to deal with in this inning.
This is Yuli Gurriel, the first baseman. He did not play in the game last night as Gonzalez started at first. 10 homers, 43 RBIs, along with 23 doubles. Off the plate, a ball on the strike. Stroman, he's a ground ball machine. He'll throw a lot of ground balls, and Blue Jays do a great job of turning the double plays. This ground ball gets past Donaldson into left field, so back-to-back one-out singles for Houston here in the second.
He's ultra competitive too. You know, he relishes this type of challenge right here, facing the best offensive team in the American League. A couple of hard hit balls that find their way into the outfield. Gurriel has been hot. Gets this one by Donaldson, second hit of the inning.
The Astros scored 12 runs on 14 hits last night. Blue Jays won the opener 7-4. And even when they were losers in the first game, they had 11 hits. Pretty good pitch. Stroman didn't get that call right at the bottom of the strike zone. This is the third baseman, Alex Bregman.
Bregman seems to be getting a little bit better also. He's had some doubles in this series. Doubled in his 4th straight games yesterday.
Fastball misses downstairs. It's 2-0. Bregman, he didn't spend much time in the minor leagues. He was drafted by Houston, second overall pick in 2015 out of LSU. Louisiana State University, came up last year, got into 49 games. Showed some power last year. He had 8 home runs in 201 at-bats.
At times they knocked the bat out of his hand. He was hitting up in the order at the beginning of this season, and they said, you know what, let's put him back down while he gets his feet on the ground just a little bit in the major leagues. Doing a pretty good job hitting with runners in scoring position at 284.
Ground ball. This could be 2. Tulowitzki to Barney. Back to first. It is a double play. Second double play. First ground ball double play the Blue Jays have turned this afternoon. And Marcus Stroman continues to pound that ball down in the strike zone. He gets another ground ball. Tulowitzki flips to Barney. He completes it to Smoke for the inning-ending double play.
The 33rd annual Lady Jays Food Drive is taking place this weekend. Fans are encouraged to donate non-perishable food items, provide monetary donations, or purchase mystery bags for $25 or $40, which contain a baseball cap autographed by a player, coach, or alumni. The Sprott Foundation will be matching all monetary donations throughout the weekend up to $50,000. So come on out, everybody, and support Food Banks Canada. But
indeed, the Lady Jays doing a great job. They will receive your donations at the gates, and one more day tomorrow, so make sure you come on out. Troy Tulowitzki got a 4-game hit streak. Tulowitzki homered in the 5th inning. He was 2 for 3. Blue Jays had just 6 hits in that game last night.
Fiers made a name for himself, didn't he, after he got traded to the Astros in 2015? His 3rd start, he threw the first no-no at Minute Maid Park. Took him 134 pitches, but he's got a no-hitter under his belt.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that, you know, has to locate his pitches. He's got a wide assortment of pitches to mix things up with. And he has to work on the edges. You won't see him pounding that ball in the middle of the strike zone very often. One and 2 to Tulowitzki. Missed way outside. It's 2-2.
Yeah, he's got to be hitting on all of those pitches because he can't just blow the ball by you. Still's having trouble getting that off-speed pitch where he wants it.
He missed his spots there and gets a strikeout. One away.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by the Samsung QLED, the next innovation in TV.
One out, Ezequiel Carrera. Get his first trip to the plate. Carrera came into the game last night as a defensive replacement for Bautista and homered in the ninth inning. His 6th home run of the season. That ties his career high.
Turned on a 3-2 breaking ball and clobbered it out of here. All 6 of his home runs have come off of right-handed pitching. He's hitting over 300 against righties this season.
Last year he did a great job batting against lefties. He's not had the same success against the left-handed pitchers as he did last year.
And Steve Pearce will play against all the lefties this season.
Slow grounder hit to second, and Fiers has 2 quick outs here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. So Aaron Sanchez, he returned to the rotation last night and had some control issues. I don't think it was really too much related to his finger, just couldn't find the strike zone. He got squeezed a bit in the 1st inning. A couple of broken bat hits to start the game.
Best thing he said that came out of that game last night is, he said, "I'm healthy." He said, "Not once did I think about my finger at all," which is always good. And he was coming off of the problems with the blister issues and the split nail and the surgery and all that. He said, "I never thought of it."
I thought he threw the ball well, especially in the 1st inning. Had a broken bat blooper to George Springer. Had a broken bat swinging bunt off the bat of Jose Altuve. Got a double play from Reddick, and then Correa hit a 2-run home run. And then I think the frustration started to mount with the strike zone. He couldn't find the strike zone.
Some frustration, and then tried to throw even better pitches. Thought his curveball was good.
Well, you're right about Fiers. He hasn't been able to get that curveball close to the strike zone. He's bounced almost every one of them. Blue Jays would like to finish up on a positive note. They have split the first 2 games in this 4-game series with Houston. Finish up the first half, going to the All-Star break with a little momentum. Pilar caught looking at strike 3. Fiers has 3 strikeouts already. 2 innings in the book. It's scoreless at Rogers Center.
help celebrate Canada's team, Rogers asked fans to submit their ultimate baseball dream. For a lucky few, Rogers is making their dreams come true this July. See how at RogersCelebrates.com or follow #BaseballDreams.
What a great program, and we got to meet some of those contestants that won the contest and got to come up to the booth and visit with us. And we saw yesterday a couple of fans got a chance to spend some time with Marcus Stroman. Took him in the clubhouse, took him down the batting cage, got a chance to visit with him, so make sure you check it out. See if you can't realize your baseball dream. Top of the third, Nori Aoki, the left fielder. .259 for the season.
Well, so far so good for Marcus Stroman. Doesn't look like it's an issue now. That second inning was a little bit better for him. Gave up a couple of hits, got the ground ball for the double play.
Well, it certainly doesn't look like it creates any issues whatsoever on his breaking ball. He's had a very sharp breaking ball.
He's had that for about 3 or 4 starts. I mean, A+ with the breaking ball.
Fastball with a lot of movement on it. You know, a couple of starts ago, Marcus went to Russell Martin before the start and said, Russell, I want you to sit off the plate on the first base side of home plate and give me that target just over the outside corner. And Stroman loses Aoki. That's the third walk issued. But the thought was that Stroman hadn't really been able to get his breaking ball off the plate to the right-handed hitters. So by getting Martin to sit off the plate away, he would then finish that breaking ball, and it became much more effective against the Orioles. He had a wicked breaking ball.
A lot of right-handed batters, and when you've got a breaking ball like Marcus has, you want to make it look like it's going to be a strike and then sweep it off the plate. That's where he'll get a lot of his strikeouts.
Springer hits it to right. Bautista got a late break, and this ball is going to hit off the wall. Aoki is being waved home. Here's the throw from Barney, and it is not in time. George Springer with an RBI double to the base of the wall in right. Picks up his 61st RBI, and Houston has a 1-0 lead.
27 home runs for Springer out of that leadoff spot. And A.J. Hinch was talking about, I talk about my player strengths, and one of his strengths is hitting, so I want him hitting at the top of the lineup as much as possible. Curveball, and Springer hit a home run to right field yesterday. This time he doubles to right field. Off the wall. Good read by Aoki to read it off the bat, take off. Bautista drops it momentarily, and I think that's why Aoki was able to score.
The double by Springer extends the Houston Astros streak to 45 straight games with a double. Josh Reddick. He gets a base hit to right. Springer had to hold up. Wasn't sure if that was going to be a line drive that was caught. So he stops at third. Walk, double, single for Houston here in the third.
Reddick has brought a lot of intensity to this team. It looked like it might have been a cutter that stayed over the plate. Bob Melvin was his manager in Oakland, and Melvin and A.J. Hinch worked together in the Diamondbacks organization, and they talked to Melvin about Reddick when they acquired him and said, what kind of guy is he? He said he's an intense guy. Everybody looks up to Reddick. He really gives it to him, to all the young players. They love this guy.
The intensity is an intangible that there are no numbers to back it up, but when you hear from a former teammate, a former coach that has coached a player, it validates just what you have on your mind about Reddick. Carlos Correa. Line to Donaldson. He goes to first, and they're going to double up Reddick. Oh, what a play by Donaldson. We have seen that the last couple of games where his legs are starting to come around for him. The quickness has returned, and there he takes a double away from Carlos Correa.
I asked Luis Rivera the other day, Josh looks pretty good at fielding. What do you see? He says his legs. His legs are getting him in good position to field baseballs. He's quick again, and this time he uses that athleticism to take away a double, a run, possibly two, with an athletic play, and then alertly fires across the diamond to get another double play, to the delight of Marcus Stroman.
The Blue Jays have had a double play in each of the first 3 innings. A strike him out, throw him out, double play in the first, 6-4-3 in the second. This is going to be out of play in the seats off the bat of Evan Gattis. And then a line double play, 5-3 here in the third. Houston with a 1-0 lead. We mentioned Houston is averaging almost 7 runs a game playing on the road. That has allowed them to put together a 32-10 road record, by far the best road record in baseball. This is popped up, and this one's going to be out of play.
They are 59-28, 31 games over 500. Just a half a game better than the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are 59-29 coming into this game.
Houston seeking their 60th win in this 88th game of the season. 1-2, 2 outs. This is popped up and playable. Barney, with the glasses down, makes the catch. The inning is over, but Houston, thanks to an RBI double, has a 1-0 lead early. Barney, Bautista, and Martin when we come back.
It's the Aaron Sanchez bobblehead presented by Rogers. Tomorrow, July 9th, the first 20,000 in attendance will receive an Aaron Sanchez bobblehead. Then sit back and watch the Blue Jays and the Houston Astros play the series finale at 1:07 p.m. For tickets, visit BlueJays.com. Buck.
Thank you very much, Hazel. Aaron Sanchez had a birthday on Canada Day. And tomorrow he'll have his bobblehead day. Number 9 hitter Darwin Barney takes the first pitch down and away for a ball. Barney 237 for the season. A couple of homers and 11 driven in. Darwin's making his 18th start today at second base. Two 2-0.
Wait him out. See some pitches. He just hasn't been right just yet. Tar gets the start today against the right-handed pitcher. He's had some good at-bats lately.
3-0. Number 9 hitter, you can see fires not close to the strike zone to Darwin Barney. Top of the order next, Jose Bautista. Three walks issued by Fires.
The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. It's the best time to find a Honda you'll love.
Picture perfect day here in Toronto. We're out on Lake Ontario enjoying the great weather. Jose Bautista, strikeout victim his first time up. Fires has 3 strikeouts. He's issued 3 walks. Jose struck out on an 89-mile-an-hour fastball in the first.
Fires has some weird splits this year, putting together a season. He's 1-3 at home, and his ERA is 2.89. So you figure, okay, well, 2.89 ERA with the way these guys score runs, he'd have a winning record. It's 1-3. It's 4-0 on the road, but his ERA is almost 5 on the road. You would think that that would be reversed.
But remember, the Astros score almost 7 runs a game on the road.
There it is right there. They've got a great road record. They outslug everybody when they're away from Houston.
Donaldson still trying to get that swing ironed out. Not quite right just yet. Fires hasn't allowed a home run in his last 41 2/3 innings coming into this game. Obviously now it's up to 43 2/3 innings. That's impressive considering he had allowed a homer in each of his 9 starts prior to that streak. 18 home runs in 9 starts, and none in his last 43 2/3 innings.
Last home run May 25th versus the Tigers. His last 7 starts, he's been pretty good. ERA of just over 2. Opponent's batting average 189. The home runs, nothing there. And getting a lot of strikeouts. Throwing a little bit of everything, but right now he's just off a little bit. Falling behind a lot of hitters. He's actually thrown more balls than strikes so far today.
It says popped up. Middle of the diamond. Carlos Correa. Right near the bag at second, makes the catch. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. Thank you very much, Jamie. The Brewers are looking to go 10 games over 500 for the first time since September 1st, 2014. They have had some start to their season.
Some good young players. They made 5 errors in the game last night and still won.
The Yankees, with that loss last night at the hands of the Brewers, have lost 17 of their last 23. And their bullpen had a rough night again last night.
Gave it up late in that game. A grand slam home run late.
Russell Martin drew a walk in the first inning. Ball on the strike. See Russell just put his bat up against his leg, rubbed his hands together, and kind of looked back at the umpire and said, "Are you sure about that?"
Yes. Now when my guy throws it there, be sure to call it.
Darwin Barney is 3 for 3 in his stolen base attempts. We have seen the Blue Jays just a little bit more frequently use the hit and run.
just to get the defense moving around, try to kickstart the offense. There's a gigantic hole on the right side of the infield if Russell wants to shoot for it.
This is popped up into shallow right field. Long run for Reddick. He gets there and makes the catch. So after the leadoff walk this inning, Fiers has gotten Bautista to pop up and Martin to do the same. So Josh Donaldson, who was working on his stroke in that dugout. Donaldson drew a walk his first time up. Boy, Blue Jays would love to see him get into one of those hot streaks we saw for the last couple of years so frequently.
He was saying the other day, he goes, I'm not there, and I haven't been there all year long, where I'm hitting everything hard and getting the ball up into the air and doing everything. My swing is built from the ground up with my legs first, and I've had some problems with my legs. Those were well documented last year. But he says my legs are so important to my swing.
You know, he had the calf injury early this season, went on the DL, missed 38 games. And, you know, you might not really recognize this, but we see Donaldson up close all the time. He's got huge calves. Huge calves. They're like bowling balls. And he relies so much, and there's a balk on Fiers as he was in between getting the signs, and that'll push Barney to second base. Sometimes a pitcher will have a pitch on his mind, and when the catcher gets to that sign, he'll begin to get into his set position, and it looked like McCann wasn't finished giving him the signs, and watch him start and stop. There it is right there. That was a balk, clearly.
Everybody saw it. Josh saw it. Barney saw it. You know, you're talking about Josh's legs, and he also banged his knee when the team was in Texas. Didn't come out of a ball game, but banged it up working out. So anytime you have some leg injuries and your legs are so important to you, there can be some problems.
Yeah, and you know what, like you said, his swing, like everybody, starts from the ground up. Have to have that good base underneath you from which to generate that bat speed.
We're seeing some signs of him hitting some baseballs hard and with some authority. Got a big 2-run single the other day. He walked his first time up, so he's seen the ball.
Well, that had some funny movement on it, just like it ran inside, kind of flat along the plane of the bat. That's the same pitch that Bautista struck out on in the first.
Mike Fiers would be a tough guy to hit because he throws so many pitches. You never know where they're going to go. Can't really fall into a pattern with them. He might throw you a curveball one time with 2 strikes. He might throw you a splitter. He might cut the ball with 2 strikes against you. He might throw a 4-seamer.
Well, he just hasn't been able to locate that curveball. He's bounced almost every one he's thrown today. The league's hitting .244 against Fiers, to your point. He is tough to hit. Barney drew a leadoff walk, moved to second on the balk with 2 outs. Full count to Donaldson. Blue Jays with a chance to tie it up. Houston has a 1-0 lead. Donaldson patiently waiting in the batter's box as Fiers and McCann having trouble getting their heads together on this next pitch. Breaking ball way outside. Another walk. That's 4 walks so far. Beauty Tone, Canada's color experts, available exclusively at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Blue Jays has stranded a pair of runners in the first thanks to 2 walks. They've had 2 walks here in the third, but there are 2 outs now. A.J. Hinch and Brent Strom, the pitching coach, a little chat on the bench. Dustin Smoke popped out in foul ground his first time up. Looking breaking ball that time and swings right through it.
He's been doing that a lot this year. He can sit on the breaking ball, still hit the fastball. 8 homers over his last 26 games.
Same pitch, same result.
And now you're standing in that batter's box saying, okay, everybody else you're throwing breaking balls, you're bouncing them in the dirt. You throw me 2 beauties. Now he's got to work. He's down 0-2.
Another breaking ball. Smoke's been on him. He's just fouled him off, just barely misses him. Barney's at second, Donaldson's at first. Houston with a 1-0 lead. Blue Jays looking for their first hit of the game. Upstairs with the heater. Just a show me pitch. He's not going to throw that fastball in the zone, I wouldn't believe, to Smoke.
Let her higher or above just to stand him up.
There's that curveball in the dirt. So now it's 2-2, and McCann's going out to the mound. You got to think they might try to run the ball in and up on Smoke on this pitch. Maybe a cutter, a fastball inside.
If he doesn't feel comfortable throwing his curveball, he doesn't want to go to 3-2. That's probably why McCann went out there. Hey, what do you feel comfortable with throwing here 2-2? We need a good quality pitch. No sign.
There's the fastball, and he gets the strikeout. So Mike Fiers has walked the tightrope early in this game. 4 strikeouts, 4 walks, no hits.
Enjoying those comfy green chairs in the TD Comfort Zone are guests from one of TD's community partners. Welcome, everybody. The WestJet Blue Jays Fan Flyaway Contest is now on. Enter for your chance to cheer on your Blue Jays in New York City with WestJet. Just go to bluejays.com/WestJet Contest to enter.
Beautiful afternoon. A lot of people out there in the WestJet flight deck having a great afternoon. Way to start your Saturday. Houston has a 1-0 lead. RBI double by George Springer, accounting for the only run of this game. Marwin Gonzalez will lead things off for the Astros. Gonzalez grounded out to Darwin Barney, his only time up. Yeah, Montero, the newest Blue Jay, caught yesterday. Made 2 starts since coming to the ball club. He joined a team in New York.
Another veteran presence for the Blue Jays in the bat just a little bit.
One and two now. That's the count on Marwin Gonzalez. Well, the infield, you don't see this very often. They're just about straight away on the infield for Gonzalez. He is a switch hitter. Batting left against Stroman. Changeup bounced right on home plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Chase that nasty sinker down and away. That's a good sign. He's still got great movement, and he's had big numbers against Houston in the past.
That's a really good sign right there that his fastball is moving like that. Let's go back to August the 1st. 13 punch-outs for Marcus Stroman. Last year, the Astros struck out a lot. This year, they have the fewest in the American League. But Marcus's breaking ball was working that day. He was dive-bombing that fastball down and away to the left-handers. I think Marcus always has the capability of having high strikeout games because he can spin a breaking ball. It's just when he's got everything working. Now Marcus wants an explanation right here.
And Marcus said, why do you grant time? I was in my windup. He was in the box, and there was no reason to call time. And now John Gibbons has come out to get an explanation from Paul Martin.
Marcus's argument, you can hear him saying, you have to call timeout, meaning the home plate umpire. He says the batter can't just step out. He says you have to say timeout, and he never saw the timeout sign from him. Watch it again. McCann's going to step out. There's the timeout, but he was in his windup.
Okay, and Marcus did say, hey, you have to call timeout. And McCann just kind of stepped out after Marcus had started his windup. You know, that happened to Marcus in his last start in New York with Jerry Meals behind the plate. Meals himself, the umpire, called timeout because he felt like Marcus was taking too much time. And everybody said, well, why did you call timeout? The batter's in the box. He's ready to hit. And the umpire called timeout.
And Marcus gave him that hesitation pitch, the same one that McCann stepped out on.
It's almost as if everybody needs a script. Okay, he's going to do this next and then this next. And if he doesn't follow that script, we're going to call timeout.
Well, here's the shift now against McCann. Remember, they were not shifting against him his first time up, and he got a single to right field.
This time he hits it to Donaldson, and well, he did something to his hand or something because he is really late coming out of the box. I'm not sure what happened, but he stumbled or just took his time when he came out of the box. He didn't come out of the box running. Watch this swing.
Did he slip? Tried to go the other way after the shift. And that back foot, did you see the foot curl underneath him?
Yeah, like he twisted his ankle coming out of the box.
It was a mistake.
2 outs. Yuli Gurriel had a base hit through left side of the infield his first time up.
Basketball, they call that rolling your ankle, and that's what it looked like McCann did as he finished his swing. That back foot just rolled the ankle.
Well, he's strapping on his shin guards. He's
tough to get
go
that
back
guy.
out. Yeah, he can't take him out of the game. McCann is making his 55th start today. Stroman off the mound quickly, bare hands, and fires in plenty of time to retire Gurriel and set down the Astros in order. Terrific fielder. Stroman helps himself out to end the top half of the 4th.
For the greatest outdoor show on earth, don't you dare miss the Calgary Stampede on Sportsnet 1.
Thank you very much, Hazel. A great sporting event for sure, the Calgary Stampede. And check it out. It's always a great event. I always used to like the covered wagon race they had at the Calgary Stampede.
Don't know anything about the Calgary Stampede.
Really? It's a big rodeo.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I know it's, but I've never
rodeo.
seen it.
It's
I've never
awesome.
been there. I've never.
Yeah.
I guess I got to check it out. The Chuck Wagon Race?
Yeah.
Is that what you called it?
Yeah, it's great. Old covered wagons that went across the prairies years ago. They have a race. It's very
nice.
cool. Kind of like the scene from Ben-Hur, right?
I'm a big Western fan.
Morales bounces it to Gonzalez, who flips to Fires. That's the first out of the bottom of the 4th. You know, we talked about the Astros and what a great start they're off to. They're looking for their 60th win of the season. This is the 88th game they have played. Only 3 teams in the wild card era, that's since 1994, have reached 60 wins within their first 88 games. Those 3 teams, the 95 Cleveland Indians, they were 144 in that strike shortened season. The 98 New York Yankees,
they were pretty good that year.
114 wins. That's a pretty good season. And then the 2001 Seattle Mariners.
They were pretty good. 116 wins.
116 wins. So it's a historic pace that this Astros team is off to.
And playing on the road, their road record is ridiculous. They have 32 wins on the road this season. They had 41 all of last year. They were 41-40 on the road last season.
Inside to Tulowitzki, it's 2-0. The Astros would be the first team to win 60 games by the All-Star break since the 2003 Atlanta Braves. So yeah, it's a
historic
great pace they have set for
It's
themselves.
historic. That's why I wanted to get the take of the manager if they saw this coming.
Boy, Bregman really let that ball play him. He got in between and took a step backwards, and that cost him. A hot shot bouncer that passes the third baseman into left field.
We'll see how they score that one. Could be an error. Would be his 7th. Third base, sometimes you just have to play it off the chest, but he gave ground, and that's where he got hurt. You just have to get over there and just try and knock it down. The in-between hop stayed down on him. Tulowitzki's at first base.
It is an error indeed on the third baseman. 7th of the season for Alex Bregman. Here is Ezekiel Carrera. Goes after that first pitch. Yeah, Bregman, he takes a step in, and yeah, he might have been handcuffed with the short hop, but at the same time, he probably could have blocked it and kept in front of him.
You smother it. You smothered that short hop. It's better to just stay as low as possible to check that hop. That one stayed down. You mentioned he was in college. He was a college shortstop.
Check swing, tapped foul by Carrera. Yeah, third base. Remember the old phrase? Knock it down, throw him out. And a lot of third basemen played like that.
Or if your chest held up, you're going to have a good year. Because there are so many shots hit down there. It's a reaction type of position. Because the ball gets down there so quickly, you have to react quickly.
0-2. Slow grounder to second. They'll go to first for the force. That's all they'll get. Gonzalez goes to Correa. 2 away now. Well, Kevin Pillar, he was caught looking at strike 3 his first time up. Took an inside fastball for a strike. One of 4 strikeouts recorded by Mike Fiers to this point. As we mentioned at the top of the show, the Astros have 6 All-Stars this season.
They just got their 6th yesterday.
Chris Davinsky was added to the American League roster. Carrera was a little late getting back to first.
He jumped, flinched like he was going. The Astros want to look at this one. He flinched like he was going to go to second, like he's going to try and steal. Fiers crossed him up.
Quick tag by Gurriel, and Houston will not ask for the video review. Carrera 5 for 6 in stolen base attempts. McCann has not thrown out base stealers very effectively. Again, another quick throw to first. McCann has caught just 7 of 38. That's 18%.
Slow breaking ball, slow to the plate, slow splitter. Maybe the Blue Jays take a chance. I think it's up to Mike Fiers then to keep the runner close at first base and then vary his delivery to home. At the time it looked like he quick pitched him a little bit. Try to give McCann a chance to throw him out if he goes.
Not running. Pulled foul past third. Ball on the strike to Kevin Pillar. Pillar over his last 5 games came into this game batting .400. A couple of doubles, a home run. The Blue Jays just haven't been able to get everybody together, swinging the bats well at the same time. Popped up on the infield. Correa, the shortstop, is there, and the inning is over. Mike Fiers leaves another base runner. It's 1-0 as we head to the 5th. Time now for Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell with Greg Zahn from the Samsung Broadcast Studio.
It's Junior Jay's Saturdays presented by Boston Pizza. Join us pregame outside, gates 5 and 10 for inflatables, activities, and lots of fun. After the ball game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. Visit BlueJays.com for tickets.
Great day to bring the kids to the ballpark on Junior Jay's Saturday, and they have a lot of events. Kids have a great time, and after the ball game, you get to run the bases just like the pros. So come on out, bring your kids out. A lot of activities, and there are all the decals, and you can get a decal of Ace and Blue Jays logo painted on your cheek, and whatever you want. There's lots of activities for the kids.
The whole weekend, it's great. We had the bands last night, the excitement.
The Friday fan festivals. All the Fridays in July and August at home. So make sure you put that down in the calendar as well. Alex Bregman, the third baseman, grounded into a double play his first time up. Well, Russell really accentuates that target. We had talked about Stroman asking Martin to sit off the plate to the right-handed hitters, and he accentuates that target to say, give it to me right here. And he does.
He's got great hands, the way he frames the ball and just sticks it right there. Good at the low ball, how he brings it back up. It's a nice looking target. You know, if you're pitching, sits up right there. There's the hand motion.
He presents that glove with conviction, and that's a real positive image for a pitcher. You know, oftentimes you'll see catchers give a sign and then hold their glove up with a limp wrist, and there's really no target. It's like, where do you want me to throw it? But when Russell gives a target, he accentuates where he wants it.
And when he catches it, he's strong enough to hold it there for his pitcher.
3 strikeouts for Stroman, 1 down and top of the 5th.
This 4K broadcast is brought to you by Samsung QLED TV. Experience Canada's team in all the colors of the game with the next innovation in TV.
Rogers Center with the roof pushed back. Beautiful Saturday afternoon. Lots of people in the area. A lot of people inside taking in the ball game. Norichika Aoki, 35 years old, longtime big leaguer in Japan before signing with the Milwaukee Brewers, coming to the big leagues.
We've been talking about so many of the other players, veteran players that they have picked up in the wintertime, and the word that was presented to us was presence in the clubhouse. We forget about Aoki and the contributions that he has made to Houston so far this season. Left-handed bat, a tough out.
And he gets a base hit here. Bautista over to cut it off. Aoki makes a big turn, but he'll stop it first. Bautista gets it in quickly. Aoki has walked and scored the only run of this game. Now he has a base hit.
He won't hit a lot for power, but he'll spray the ball around the field. It's a changeup for Marcus. He's throwing more changeups this afternoon, it seems, to these left-handed batters. I don't know if that has a reflection of the two-seamer, that he hasn't been able to throw as many two-seamers.
Ground ball. Tulowitzki is short. Second for 1. Back to first. Double play. 4 double plays turned by the Blue Jays today. The defense taking advantage of Stroman in that sinking fastball. Ground ball to Tulowitzki. No problem at all. Quickly to Barney, who relays to Smoke, an inning-ending double play.
Sports has found its home in Canada. Hosts O.J. Borg and Jason Kaplan bring you highlights, recaps, and player profiles. Catch it Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific Time on Sportsnet 360 and live stream on Sportsnet Now.
Now that is a great idea to have that ice cream bar on a warm Saturday afternoon at a ball game. We'll take two, please. Darwin Barney drew a leadoff walk his last time up. He was stranded at second when Smoke struck out to end the inning. The Blue Jays have stranded 5.
They need a knock.
Yep.
Looking for the first hit.
Fly ball to left. Aoki backing up now a few steps. 1 away. Fires. He knows he might have got away with one there, but he gets the fly ball. The Yankees are losing to Milwaukee 3-0. They are in the bottom of the 6th. The Yankees have 1 hit. Milwaukee got a 3-run home run from Domingo Santana in the first inning. Eric Thames and Travis Shaw were on base, and Santana for this 15th home run of the season. That came off Luis Severino.
Brett Suter is throwing that one-hitter.
Suter 1 hit, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Jose Bautista has struck out and popped out.
The month of July has been good to Bautista. He's had 7 hits and 7 walks out of that leadoff spot. Setting the tone for the Blue Jays offensively.
Bautista took a tough strike down and away. It's 1-2 now. As Pat mentioned earlier, Fires threw a no-hitter back in 2015 for the Astros, and it's just his 3rd start since joining Houston. Struck out 10, walked 3. It was also his first career complete game. Bautista with a 2-2 count. Fires has an unusual delivery in it. He kind of opens up, and it's almost like he inside outs that fastball that runs inside to the right-handed hitters. That last pitch he threw to Bautista had a lot of movement on it.
That one got him. That was the pitch he struck him out on. That running fastball up and in. That time it sounded and looked like he clipped him.
Well, Fires has that dramatic movement, and while he was pitching for the Milwaukee Brewers a few years ago, he hit Mike Stanton in the face on a similar type pitch. That fastball that just runs up and in. No intent whatsoever. Obviously, in this situation, a 1-0 game.
Not 3-2, and it got Jose right in the bicep. The Super Slow-Mo brought to you by the Samsung QLED, the next innovation in TV.
Yeah, it was a very unfortunate incident that happened in Milwaukee when Giancarlo Stanton got hit in the face, and he's since worn that protective shield on his helmet. Russell Martin, the catcher, walked in, popped out. Martin with 9 home runs, and we have mentioned that Fires came into this game with a streak of 42 2/3 innings without giving up a home run. Line drive. There's a base hit for the Blue Jays. Bautista had to make sure it was down safely before he advances, but Russell Martin gets the first hit of the afternoon for the Jays.
Been hitting the ball with authority the other way. First hit of the afternoon for the Blue Jays. Mike Fiers, you mentioned his no-hitter. 134 pitches, the 11th no-hitter in Astros history. Not going to have one this afternoon as Russell Martin stays on that pitch and goes the other way. His first hit. Blue Jays' first hit. He had a good game a couple of days ago and then did not play in yesterday's game. So he is picking up where he left off.
He was 3 for 5 in the opener of this series on Thursday night, including a home run. He had a home run, a solo shot, scored a couple of runs, and actually lined out in his first at bat. Line drive to center. So Josh Donaldson has seen the ball well. He has walked twice today. Look out. It was up and in, and obviously after Bautista got hit by this in this inning by a pitch, Donaldson, you see he wears that protective extension on his helmet too, and that's frightening up around your face.
Very uncomfortable. He wanted that ball away and it just buzzes him up and in, and Josh not real happy with that one.
Donaldson says he just opted to wear that extension because it's available. He said, why wouldn't you? Just in case one gets away from a pitcher.
Yeah, and he knows that they like to pitch him up and in and down and away.
Right on the inside corner for a strike. It's 1-1. You're seeing more and more hitters now wear these, even if they haven't been hit, as a precaution. You know, when I started in the big leagues in 1969, it was commonplace for a pitcher to knock hitters down. So hitters knew how to get out of the way. I mean, you were light on your feet, and there wasn't a lot of real digging in, and you just kind of understood. There were certain guys that we labeled headhunters, and they threw at guys. That was part of their game plan. But nowadays, with all of the rules implemented and the ejection possibilities when anybody thinks there's intent behind the pitcher throwing at a hitter, hitters don't have to get out of the way as much. And I think because of that, when there is a pitch that gets away, they're slow to react. We've seen a lot of hitters get broken hands this year.
Too many, unfortunately. They just can't turn out of the way fast enough. Yeah, back then they just had, some of them didn't even wear helmets.
You imagine that? There's a drive deep to left field. Get up, Bob. Get up, and gone. That's how you get him back.
After 4 or 5 fastballs to Josh Donaldson, the one that we were just talking about, up and in, one up, down and away. He tried to slip a changeup by him. And Josh's 9th home run is also his 150th career home run, giving the Blue Jays a 3-1 lead with one swing of the bat. That's how you get back. Changeup over the middle of the plate, number 150.
First home run since June 11th. And that is a very satisfying home run after that first pitch of the at-bat. Not suggesting by any means it was intentional, but he got knocked down, and there you see that changeup grip. The splitter just stays out over the plate, and Donaldson took care of it. A 3-run homer.
Split grip changeup, and it stayed over the middle of the plate after about 3 or 4 fastballs. And Josh's timing is starting to come around. There's the legs that we were talking about. High leg kick, recognizes it, and then explodes into that baseball.
3-1 Blue Jays. Spoke with a 3-0 count. This is a pretty swing.
Watch the timing and the finish. Way back.
Fly ball to right. Reddick has room right in front of the scoreboard, and he makes the catch. That ball kept carrying.
That's what we have noticed lately how, at least this year, the outfielders gauge the ball and then they have to drift back again. Brent Strom is on the phone. There's some action into that bullpen, but Reddick was deep and he had a beat on it and the ball kept carrying. Took him all the way to the wall.
Two away now. Kendrys Morales has grounded out twice. Chris Devinsky, the All-Star who has just been added to the American League roster, has had a great start to his season. He is loosening up. Devinsky 6-3 with a .209 earned run average. Morales with a 1-1 count. Breaking ball. He sits back and hammers that one to the alley. Reddick gets over and cuts it off quickly. It gets it back to the infield. A long single for Kendrys Morales. The Blue Jays didn't have a hit until Russell Martin had a one-out single here in this inning, and then Donaldson homered, and Morales has come up with a base hit.
Timing up that off-speed pitch now, third time through the lineup for the Blue Jays. Recognizing that off-speed pitch from Mike Fiers. Josh Donaldson with the home run, the big blow this inning.
Troy Tulowitzki. He takes a fastball upstairs for ball one. Tulo reached on in the air his last time up. Hit a hard ball to the third baseman, Alex Bregman, that couldn't handle it. Place is still buzzing about the Donaldson home run. James Hoyt now has gotten up with Devinsky. Hoyt had a very good inning last night, a 1-2-3 7th inning. Alex Cora, the bench coach for A.J. Hinch. Fiers has now thrown 96 pitches. Last time out, threw 105 pitches in 4 innings. And he allowed only 2 hits and no runs. Tulowitzki strikes out. That ends the inning, but the Blue Jays hitless through 4 innings, break through against Mike Fiers and Josh Donaldson with one swing of the bat. It's a 3-run home run, and the Blue Jays have taken the lead.
Center, Blue Jays on top 3-1. Veteran reliever Joe Smith, who was in pretty good spirits, getting me up to speed on how he's progressing from right shoulder inflammation. He says his rehab is going very well. Smith told me he's planning on throwing a bullpen tomorrow. If all goes well, he plans on another bullpen sometime during the break. Barring any setbacks, Smith will make an appearance Friday in Buffalo. Now, he did stop short of declaring he'll be activated off the DL in time for the Tiger series in Detroit. But Bucky says he's hopeful that will indeed be the case.
Yeah, Blue Jays need him back, and boy, they get Joe Smith back. Now they have Joe Biagini in the bullpen. Tepera's throwing well. Osuna's an all-star. Their depth in the bullpen is really strong right now, and Dominic Leone will be back before too long. He's throwing the ball very well. Danny Barnes has had a great start to his season.
Jeff Bellevue yesterday.
Yeah, he's been
very good innings. Yeah.
Speaking of being good, how about Marcus Stroman? A run on 5 hits. He has cooled off the red-hot Houston Astros. They scored 12 runs on 14 hits last night and hit 3 home runs. Josh Reddick takes strike 2.
That 93-mile-an-hour two-seam sinker is nasty against lefties or righties. He's throwing it in a good spot.
Boy, that thing just exploded. Reddick arguing he foul tipped it. And he's not going to convince the umpire. Now A.J. Hinch, the manager, is out to check with Paul Nart. He said, man, he foul tipped that. Can you check with somebody, one of your umpires in the field, see if they saw something? And Nart is pretty set that he's not going to ask for any help.
There's the two-seam sinker going straight down, and from that replay it didn't look like he made contact. The ball was smothered by Martin. Russell finished off the strikeout by tagging out Reddick. Didn't look like the ball changed from a foul tip.
No, it didn't seem as though it changed directions by any means. Paul Nart, the home plate umpire, never really considered it. You could see he was pretty set in his mind that Reddick missed it cleanly. Marcus Stroman has been impressive. He's also facing Carlos Correa, whom he faced in the 2017 championship game against Puerto Rico. Correa and Carlos Beltran were both on that Puerto Rican team, and Stroman, pitching for Team USA, threw 6 shutout innings against Puerto Rico to win the championship. Correa and Beltran both went 0 for 6 with 3 strikeouts in that game, and Stroman really was dominant. Second start he had made against Puerto Rico in that series.
One of them not real good, one of them really good, if I remember. But when he's got that two-seam sinker working and that slider, it's just, it's tough to square anything up, hit anything hard. He's throwing some more change-ups this afternoon.
Yeah, you made a great point about the movement on his fastball, and that's the pitch that created the problem with his finger, but it has been great. And look at that. That is a wicked breaking ball that Correa waves at, and Stroman just overmatched him.
Happy 150th to our home and native land. Honda, proudly driving Canadians since 1973.
Marcus Stroman and that necklace come apart, come unhinged, and he put it in his back pocket. I saw something fly off his neck. I wasn't sure what it was. So a couple of strikeouts here. He gets Reddick on a sinker and threw a great slider to get Carlos Correa. That was the best slider he's thrown all day.
Yes, just good hitters when you make them look like that, when they check swings. The attempt from Correa just wasn't there because of the great stuff.
5 strikeouts now for Marcus. Ball and a strike to Evan Gattis, who's the DH this afternoon. Hit that ball off the end of his bat and splintered a piece of it. See, Gattis uses that cupped out bat, and from time to time hitters will hit it right on the end of that cupped out part of the bat, and it'll splinter.
I like this dude, man. He's old school. No batting gloves, no pine tar, nothing. Just brute strength. Been swinging a hot bat. Hit a home run to double yesterday, so he's back in there today as the DH.
Well, that slider has taken a wicked left-hand turn as it gets to the plate. That one didn't get far enough off the plate, and Gattis hits a 2-strike, 2-out single. Cut his swing down with 2 strikes and put that slider in play. Bounced it right up the middle for a base hit.
He couldn't get him to swing at the last one, so he's going to get a little bit closer to the plate. It just stayed too close to the middle.
That base hit extends his hit streak to 10 straight. 1 for 3 now. Blue Jays have a 3-1 lead. Marwin Gonzalez, he homered on Thursday night, batting right-handed against Francisco Liriano. Stroman has now thrown 91 pitches, and with that, Danny Barnes has started to throw in the Blue Jays bullpen. They mentioned how the bullpen has really come together over the last couple of months. Everybody has slotted into their roles very effectively.
And they're getting proper rest. And when they get proper rest, good things are going to happen. John Gibbons has used his bullpen efficiently. 8 relievers down there, so he can give them all work and rest.
Well, you get proper rest because everybody's doing their job. You don't have to use the same guys night after night after night. You can rotate the combination of pitchers you're using. 1-2. Cut on and missed. Stroman strikes out the side. Couple of great sinkers and a slider for the 3 strikeouts. Stroman 6 strong innings. He has a 3-1 lead.
And CF Toronto Eaton Center are the official team shops for your Toronto Blue Jays. Authentic alternate red cap and jersey available now. Get yours today at select J-Shop locations, jshop.ca, or by calling 1-877-JSHOP.
Thank you very much, Hazel May. Jays shop, a wide assortment of Blue Jays memorabilia, lots of jerseys, caps, different outfits. Josh Donaldson has him cracking up on the bench. He had a 3-run home run. That made everybody smile. 3-run home run in the 5th inning, his first since June 11th. A very timely home run. Blue Jays went into that 5th inning without a hit off Mike Fiers. Ended up scoring 3 runs on 3 hits and a hit batter. Carrera bunts it, but it's foul. Carrera, Pilar, and Barney bottom 3rd of the Blue Jays order. Blue Jays have stranded 6 so far. Carrera again shows bunt, takes a strike. Pat, we've had a scoring change going back to the 4th inning. The Troy Tulowitzki at bat originally scored an error on the 3rd baseman. Is now a base hit for Tulowitzki.
Now that the Blue Jays have ended the no-no, you think?
Yeah.
Tough to give a hit
first
on a
hit.
questionable play. Yeah, the first hit. I'm sure Tulo will enjoy that.
Probably doesn't even know.
Probably doesn't know it.
So it's a base hit to left field for Tulowitzki and take the air off of the 3rd baseman Alex Brigman's record. Two balls and 2 strikes. Curveball and a good one. 1 away. Let's check it with Jamie Campbell. The Orioles have fallen on hard times for sure. Manny Machado's hitting .226. That's hard to fathom.
As much talent as he has, the starting pitching hasn't given Baltimore much of a chance over the last month or so.
No, not at all. Miguel Sano, he will participate in the home run derby on Monday night. 21 home runs. Kevin Pillar hits it sharply too short. Deep throw, and Correa knew he had to get the throw off quickly, but couldn't come up with it cleanly. It'll be a base hit for Pillar. Correa planted that right foot, and when he tried to make the transfer, he bobbled the baseball.
Knew he had to be quick because Pillar is running. Did not get a clean grip on that ball. So it'll go as an infield hit for Pillar. This is where the Blue Jays really put the pressure on. You could play hit and run on this first pitch right here. You got the perfect combination if you're the Blue Jays. Pillar first and Barney at the plate.
Pillar with a good lead at first. Not running. Barney hits it on the ground. He should have been running. There's a double play, and that ends the inning. So Pillar gets a 1-out single and then gets erased on the double play. Will go to the 7th. The Blue Jays behind Marcus Stroman have a 3-1 lead.
Favorite sports over the internet with Sportsnet Now. Live stream every Blue Jays game, MLB matchups, plus get your news 24/7 with Sportsnet Central. To sign up and get 7 days free, visit snnow.ca. To the 7th we go, Buck Martinez and Pat Tabler. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Hazel May. A beautiful afternoon here, and it is July 8th. And on this day in 1956, Terry Poole was born. So happy 61st birthday to Terry Poole from Melville, Saskatchewan. He was a terrific major leaguer, played 15 years in the major leagues. He had 1,361 hits, and he played his entire career with the Houston Astros.
He is everywhere on their leaderboards, career records. You know, those guys remember Terry Poole. 1,531 games in the big leagues, 1,516 of them with the Astros. That is 5 in the top 5 all time in Astros history.
Actually misspoke. He played 15 games for the Kansas City Royals in '91. He was just 34 years old when he played his last game. Terrific player, good all-around player, did a lot of good things. Got into the postseason 3 different times, 80, 81, and 86, all with the Astros.
Greg Biggio's #1 in hits, then Bagwell, Cruz, Cedeno, Berkman, Watson, and then Terry Poole.
Terry Poole is a college coach in Houston area. Poole had a terrific record in the postseason, 16 for 43, a .372 batting average in 3 different postseason series. Donaldson at shortstop. Goes out McCann. 1 away.
Buy 6 cans of Beauty Tone paint and get the 7th free. Available exclusively at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Beauty Tone, Canada's color experts.
Junior Jays Saturday. A lot of kids here in the ballpark having a good day. Pre-game festivities outside the park, and inside after this game they'll run the bases. So bring your kids on down next time the Blue Jays are in town on a Saturday. That will be after the All-Star break. The Blue Jays have a long 10-game road trip immediately after the All-Star break. Detroit, Boston, and Cleveland before they return home.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier after the All-Star break. Facing some hot teams. Boston leading the American League East by 4.5 games. Cleveland leading the American League Central by a 1.5 games over Minnesota.
Well, Cleveland's starting to put it together offensively. Jose Ramirez, their third baseman. He's on a stretch, 25 extra base hits in his last 23 games, going back to June 24th. Historic stretch. Only one other player has done that for the Indians, and it was a player that did it twice, in fact. Albert Bell did it in April and May of '94, and then had another such streak in '95. He was a great hitter.
Yes, yes, and the Indians are starting to put it together offensively. So, got to win this series first of all. Gather some momentum into the All-Star break.
Marcus Stroman with 6 strikeouts. We mentioned earlier that he had a 13 strikeout game last August 1st down in Houston. It's a high fly ball into right. Gurriel is retired on the fly ball. 2 outs. Let's check in again with Jamie Campbell. Our scope, home run number 18, RBIs 53 and 54.
He's an all-star.
Yes, he is. He's batting 3rd in that lineup now. They've dropped Adam Jones into the 4th spot. The Orioles have lost 5 in a row coming into this game today. The Orioles and the Blue Jays are tied. They have identical 40 and 46 records. The appeal down to Carlos Torres, and Bregman is called for the swing. Blue Jays rotation needed this start from Stroman, pitching into the 7th with 2 outs.
Yeah, they were covered if something would happen with that blister. But they've been telling us all week that they caught it before it became a blister. It was more of a hot spot, if you will. So he came out of that game on Monday after 5 innings, but they were covered. Joe Biagini's been moved down to the bullpen. They can give him some length down there. But Marcus has taken this one all by himself.
Coming into this game, in 7 starts in July, the Blue Jays starters are 2 and 4 with a 753 earned run average, and the hitters have hit 326 against them. Pilar waits on this high fly ball. Bregman's retired. 7 strong innings from Marcus Stroman. He has pitched very well here at home at Rogers Center. 3-1 Blue Jays.
Yes.
MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to @Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Lots of fans on hand, and they have made some beautiful signs to express their message. This is Chris Novinsky. We mentioned he's an all-star for the first time in his career, and he has put up terrific numbers in the first half of his season.
Take a look at all of those numbers up and down there. Leads major league relievers in strikeouts with 72. Innings pitched. Ranking tied for first in wins with 6. Novinsky's just 26 years old. He came from Chicago as a player named later in July of 2012 for Brett Myers, and the Astros have hit on him. He has become some kind of pitcher out of that bullpen.
It's a high fly ball that's in foul ground. Gurriel over and makes the catch in foul territory. Bautista's retired to start the 7th.
Novinsky is the 6th Astro to be named to the All-Star team. That happened yesterday as one of the replacements.
First time in franchise history the Astros have sent 6 players to the All-Star game. But when you have 59 wins in the first half of the season, you would expect there'd be a lot of All-Stars on that team.
They're tied with the Dodgers for the most from any team in the major leagues. The last AL team with 6 All-Stars in a single year was Boston last year.
Catcher Russell Martin. Russell got the first hit of the ball game off of Mike Fiers. A 1-out single after Bautista had been hit by a pitch, and both Bautista and Martin scored on Donaldson's home run. It's a high strike. 1-2. Davinsky is another one of the long list of players that played college baseball at Cal State Fullerton. This is going to drop for Russell Martin. Stay hot, Russell. Russell's been on base 3 times. Time now for the drive of the game. It's brought to you by Honda Checkered Flag Event. Check out all their all-star lineup.
5th inning, couple of runners on, just 1 out, and after a fastball came up close to his head, Josh Donaldson's going to pick on a splitter and knock it out of the ballpark for his 9th home run of the season. 3 runs for the Blue Jays. That's the difference of the game this afternoon. It's also our drive of the game as Donaldson comes home.
For Josh, it's his 150th career home run. His 9th home run of the season. And that's a welcome sight indeed. It's been a long drought for Donaldson, who had not homered since June 11th. But Pat, you had mentioned you could see signs that this is about to turn around.
He talks about barreling up the ball, meaning hitting the ball solidly. So how do you do that? You got to think about the middle of the field and get your timing down. He said he was rolling over some balls earlier. He said that's not me. My game is left center, right center, and hitting the ball hard.
Doing one. Three and one now. Donaldson with the count in his favor. They've worked him away. Donaldson will take ball 4. Third time he has walked.
He and Russell have been good today, putting up some good at-bats. Davinsky's a power pitcher, and Josh didn't even offer him those pitches.
Justin Smoak. Smoak has gone 0 for 3 this afternoon. Davinsky, we mentioned his record at 6-3. This is his 35th appearance. The league has hit 149 against him.
His stuff is nasty. He's got 2 out pitches. He's got a low 90s fastball, which is good, and he can tack the strike zone with that, but he likes to put you away with a devastating changeup and a good slider. That's his changeup right there at 82 miles an hour.
John Gibbons congratulating Stroman for 7 strong innings. That generally means he has finished his afternoon. There's a deep drive to center. This ball is going, and off the wall. Donaldson stopped around third. Martin came in to score. Donaldson was headed for home, and he and Louis Rivera almost made contact.
Yes. Yeah, they almost collided as Josh came around third base trying to score on that long double. There's another instance where the center fielder was shallow and they crossed him up. Remember, we were showing you how they were playing Smoke like a right-handed pull hitter. George Springer, the center fielder, was in left center field, and he crosses him up by hitting the ball to right field. Martin's going to score easily. Here comes Josh thinking about scoring, and there's the almost collision, and Louis got to back out of the way so he doesn't make contact with that runner.
Now, this is interesting. Now, John Gibbons came out and talked to the home plate umpire, Paul Mart, and now the crew chief, Dana DeMuth, is going to go talk to the first base umpire, Carlos Torres. This is interesting, and I think what they're going to do is look at it to see if that ball had hit the facing out in center field. It's very difficult. It's shadowy out there in center field, the roof casting a shadow in deep center field. So John Gibbons came out, and watch this ball. Does it hit the facing above the fence? No, it clearly hit right in the middle of that TD sign.
So if that's what they're asking for, that's easy.
Yeah.
The second thing they might be asking for, I wonder if the third base umpire, can he initiate if there was contact at third base?
That's a possibility, but John Gibbons wouldn't come out and say that.
No. But I wonder if he went to him and said, I want to look at this. We don't know.
But I think what and we have seen this from time and time again. We're going to look at that play at third. Luis Rivera. You can see Rivera aware he's got to get out of Donaldson's way. Martin scores. Donaldson is safely back at third.
Not even close.
But a lot of times home runs hit here at center field will hit that facing of the first deck and come straight down onto the field. And I think they were asking about the home run, and you could see Dana DeMuth, the crew chief, saying, no, indeed, it's a double. For Smoke, an RBI, his 56th, his 13th double of the season. And the Blue Jays now have a 4-1 lead. But you're right, they play very shallow in the outfield. They have been that way all three games so far, and they've been burned a couple of times.
And they played Smoke to left center field, figuring they won't be able to get around on his fastball, and he crossed him up and smoked it, if you will, to right center field.
And now what?
More discussion.
Another meeting. Home plate umpire checking with the crew chief, Dana DeMuth. And they're going to go back to the video. And no, he's going to call out A.J. Hinch. I am not sure what this is about.
And I'm not even going to guess.
Now Paul Mart's going over to explain the situation to John Gibbons. It's really interesting, and I'm not sure what it was, but they pointed to the pitcher and then held up a finger as if it might have been a trip, a charged trip, but there's no reason to do that. I'm not sure. So now the infield will come in with Morales batting and runners at second and third. A run in here in the seventh. Morales singled his last time up. The Smoke double is just the 10th hit surrendered by Davinsky to a left-handed hitter.
It's going to tack on a earned run to his all-star numbers. Infield in. A little surprised that they're pitching to Morales.
Yeah, they have a righty on deck, obviously, Tulowitzki. I think they might put the double play in order, but that's not the case, at least to this point. It's 1-1 on Morales. Blue Jays with a 4-1 lead. They've out-hit the Astros 7-6. Fastball right on the inside corner. Evens the count at 2-2. Oh, what a play by McCann. He just saved a run. That ball in the dirt. McCann got a good steady dose of these balls in the dirt early in the game with Mike Fiers on the mound.
And Josh Donaldson was anticipating that changeup in the dirt. Good play by McCann. I don't think they're going to try and steal a run here. Make the ball go through.
Morales strikes out. So that's the second out of the inning. Davinsky strikes out Morales.
Looked like he was trying to walk him, throwing the ball all around the strike zone, and say, okay, well, if I walk you, no big deal. Set up the double play. Now Blue Jays will hit with the infield back, and they need a 2-out hit.
Tulowitzki had a base hit in the fourth. Originally scored as an error on the third baseman. Changed after Fiers surrendered a clean base hit to Martin in the fifth. Two and 0. Blue Jays won the opener on Thursday night. Lost last night, and they have the lead here in the seventh. Tulowitzki for the season. Just 209 with runners in scoring position. There's a high fly ball deep to left. Get up, ball. Get up. And gone. Troy Tulowitzki. A 3-run homer.
Blue Jays have been looking for that big 2-out hit for a while, and Troy Tulowitzki is going to deliver it. Plus this thing open with a 4-run seventh inning. The big blow, the 3-run home run by Tulowitzki. Tulo now has a multi-hit game. Blue Jays putting it on the All-Star.
The fifth home run surrendered by Chris Davinsky. Second 3-run home run of the afternoon for the Blue Jays.
Donaldson had one in the fifth, Tulo here in the seventh, and that was a no doubt about it. Fastball right in his wheelhouse.
7 runs on 8 hits. A pair of 3-run home runs by the left side of the Blue Jays infield. Herrera fouls it back. It's now 1-2. Off-speed pitch. Carrera strikes out. Second strikeout of the inning. But Troy Tulowitzki puts a capper on the 7th inning with a 3-run home run. Martin single. Donaldson walks, smoked, and an RBI double. And then Tulo with 2 on goes deep to left center. Home run number 7 for Tulowitzki.
It's Friday Fan Festivals presented by Bacardi on Friday, July 28th. Join us on our outdoor patio at gates 10 and 11 for a pregame concert featuring Deer Rouge. The patio opens at 4:30, so get your tickets at BlueJays.com. Buck.
Thank you very much, Hazel, and make sure you write that down in your calendar. The Friday Fan Festivals outside the ballpark prior to the game, featuring a concert, lots of activities, chance to sit around and enjoy an open beverage in a Muskoka chair while you listen to that great music. Danny Barnes making his 31st appearance of the season in relief of Marcus Stroman, who was terrific. Stroman, 1 run on 6 hits over 7 innings after the Astros put up 12 runs on 14 hits last night.
Masterful. We talked about Marcus's big 13 strikeout game last year. That was August the 1st against Houston. That was a career high. You know what happened the next day? Danny Barnes made his major league debut. That was down in Houston. He had a couple of strikeouts in that inning. Struck out Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa. He gets the 8th inning this afternoon.
Danny Barnes has really been a big part of this resurgent bullpen. Last couple of months they have put things together. Osuna began the season on the disabled list, and boy, he has straightened himself out. And Danny Barnes makes quick work of Aoki. There was a lot of concerns this afternoon about the well-being of Stroman in that blister spot on his finger, but it was not a problem whatsoever.
Looked at it a few times early in the ball game, but it didn't matter. Marcus, with the help of 4 double plays, pitches 7 innings, 6 hits, an earned run, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. An emotional day for him, an emotional day for the Blue Jays. He was on his game today holding the best hitting team in baseball down this afternoon for 7 innings. Told you he loves a great challenge.
Yeah, you know, he just relishes the opportunity to go up against the best, and without question the Astros lineup is the best. Coming into this game, Houston had averaged .355 over the last 9 games, scoring almost 7 runs a game on the road.
Crazy, crazy.
Throwing right into Ken Giles, loosening up, standing by down in the Astros bullpen. You know, this game really turned around in the Blue Jays' favor in the 5th inning. Josh Donaldson at bat. The first pitch to Donaldson in that at bat was up and in, and he had to bail out, hit the dirt. Mike Fiers lost one up and in, and Donaldson responded by finishing off that at bat with a 3-run home run. Chris Davinsky gave up the 3-run home run to Troy Tulowitzki, but it turned around on that Donaldson at bat. His 150th career home run. You know, sometimes, Pat, a pitch like that can serve kind of like smelling salts, if you will. Just kind of gets your attention and clear your eyes, clear your head, and really narrow your focus.
Yeah, you don't want to say wake them up, because you know these guys play with intensity, but it just kind of like refocused, and he got a pitch after all those fastballs. That splitter, he got it and he hit it hard.
George Springer flies out to Bautista. Well, we mentioned the starters in the month of July have not fared well. Different story today for Marcus Stroman. After going 5 innings in his previous start on Monday in New York, 7 strong innings, he scattered 6 hits over those 7 innings and held the team, the Astros, to just 1 earned run over 7 innings. This is a team that has averaged almost 7 runs a game on the road.
And put it to rest with the finger problems. Gibby was saying that today. There was no thought of skipping him on this turn, giving him some days off over the All-Star break to let it heal. Said he was fine. He did his work with the trainers since Monday to get ready for this start, and he was magnificent.
Stroman is in line for his 9th win of the season. This is his 18th start. Popped up on the infield. Tulowitzki backing up into the outfield and makes the catch. Danny Barnes, 3 up, 3 down. No problem in the 8th. Blue Jays have a 7-1 lead as we head to the bottom of the 8th. Now time for Blue Jays Central Update. Here are Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn from the Samsung Broadcast Studio.
Fans, see the most prestigious event in cycling continue. The Tour de France, Stage 9, tomorrow on Sportsnet 1 and live stream on Sportsnet Now.
Beautiful afternoon here at Rogers Center. New pitcher into the ball game is Ken Giles. He is their closer with 19 saves.
Yeah, he needs some work. Also, those 19 saves place him 5th in the American League in saves behind Roberto Osuna. He last worked a week ago, last Saturday against the Yankees. So he needs some work. They're going to give him an inning here, the big closer, even though they are down 7-1. Got to throw. Explosive fastball from Ken Giles.
Giles gets ahead of Kevin Pillar. Pillar 1 for 3. Had an infield single his last time up. 98 with the heater. The Blue Jays, a couple of big innings. 2 swings, a 3-run home run from Donaldson in the 5th, and a 3-run home run for Tulowitzki in the 7th. That's the difference in this ball game. Justin Smoke drove in the other run. There's a curveball hit in the air, foul territory. The first baseman Gurriel makes the catch. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Josh Donaldson, that swing, a 3-run home run, produced his 150th career home run. Darwin Barney pops it up down the right side. Gonzalez, the second baseman, makes the catch in fair territory. 2 away. Joe Biagini back in the bullpen now with the return of Aaron Sanchez on Friday night. So it looks like he's going to get an inning of work here just to get used to pitching out of the bullpen again.
Yeah, when you are up like this and you're throwing like that hard, that's called getting hot. And if you're hot, you're probably coming into the game.
Jose Bautista got hit by a pitch in that big rally in the 5th inning. I put him on base with 1 out, and then Martin would get the first hit of the game for the Blue Jays right behind Bautista. That set up the Donaldson home run.
Astros think a lot of Ken Giles. They gave up 5 players to acquire him a couple of seasons ago, off seasons. One of those players, Vince Velasquez, who now pitches for the Phillies. Mark Appel was one of those players. #1 draft pick was in that trade to get Giles.
Brett Oberholzer, who is now with the Blue Jays, is part of that trade as well. But Giles, he's got a big arm, as you mentioned, and he pitched in parts of 2 seasons with Philadelphia. He had 15 saves in 2015 for the Phillies. Last year had 15 saves for Houston, and this year so far 19.
He also had 102 strikeouts last season in 65 innings for the Astros. So they like that power at the back end of the bullpen.
There's 25 walks as well. Good strikeout to walk ratio. And here he walks Bautista. A 2-out walk. Let's check in again with Jamie Campbell. Got his first home run against the Houston Astros in Tony Sipp. And the second home run is a game winner. Bouncing ball off the bat of Martin. Correa steps on the bag, and that ends it. So we will go to the 9th. 7-1 Blue Jays lead it. Joe Biagini will come on to pitch the 9th, back in the bullpen.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by Honda Side-by-Sides. For your love of the off-road experience.
Beautiful Saturday afternoon in Toronto. We are just next to the lakeshore area, the marina. Busy indeed today, and it's been a beautiful day at the ballpark here at Rogers Center. 3 runs in the 5th, 4 runs in the 7th, and Blue Jays have a 7-1 lead. Joe Biagini will make his first relief appearance since May 3rd against the Yankees in New York. He worked an inning and 2/3 and gave up 3 earned runs, so he is back pitching out of the bullpen, at least for the time being.
There are the numbers for Joe as a starter and as a reliever.
First pitch, sinking fastball. Bounce to Tulowitzki. Correa is retired. Carlos Correa 0 for 3 with a walk today.
He was robbed of extra bases from Donaldson, and it seemed like You were talking about the hit by Donaldson turned the game around. That play by Donaldson might have turned the game around also.
Yeah, Greg Zahn was talking about that in the update about the line drive that Donaldson snared and threw to first for a double play. The Astros were threatening indeed. They had a leadoff walk. Aoki scored on the Springer double. Reddick had singled, and then Correa hit a bullet that Donaldson made a play on and made the double play.
Since that inning, the hard-hitting Houston Astros have 2 hits since that 3rd inning. A hit by Aoki and a hit by the guy at the plate, Gaddis, a 2 strike base hit.
It's a high fly ball. Bautista waiting on it, and Gaddis is retied. 2 away. For Biagini, I think the ability to start will serve him very well down the road. Not only in the bullpen should he stay there the rest of this season, but I think he's going to start next year, and I think it'll serve him well. But I think he learned that all of his stuff works.
And it gave him a chance to use all of his pitches. His curveball at times was very good. He had a cutter at times that was very good. His changeup. He's got the total package. Now they just have to decide where he fits.
There's a long drive, and this one's going to go. Marwin Gonzalez hits one off the facing of the second deck. His second home run in this series. His 16th of the season. And the Astro fans enjoy that, and they're going to get a souvenir as well. So Gonzalez, boy, what a season he has put together. He hits a 2-out home run here in the 9th. Seven to 2. Blue Jays obviously have some breathing room, but that's a fastball just stayed up about belt high.
You challenge him with fastballs when you're up 7-1. That's going to make it 7-2. His career high before this year in home runs was 13. That was number 16. And with that home run, he now has a new career high in RBIs in a season with 52.
This fly ball is going to stay in the yard. Bautista waits on it. McCann's retired, and that's the ball game. Biagini gives up a home run, but needs just 6 pitches to slam the door on the Astros this afternoon. Marcus Stroman picks up his 9th win of the season, and a couple of big 3-run home runs by Tulowitzki and Donaldson. The difference in this game.
Yeah, that's the story of the game. Marcus Stroman coming out, holding down the best hitting team in the American League. Marcus gave him just 6 hits and an earned run in 7 very good innings against Houston. And then the big 3-run home runs by the Blue Jays, 2 of them enough to win Game 3. And they have a chance to take 3 out of 4 tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be right back. It'll be the last game before the All-Star break. The Blue Jays will win it 7-2. Stay tuned. Here's Blue Jays Central. Jamie and Greg, take it away.